Theo Champo is a political risk analyst. Now, former President John Dramani Mahama says the current state of the economy is terrible and the worst in the country's history. The cedi is currently hovering around 14 cedis to a dollar, with inflation standing at the highest rate in more than a decade. Speaking during a courtesy call on him by the executives of the Ghana Journalists Association, the former president criticized how President Akufo-Addo's government is handling the economy.
The current state of our economy is it's terrible. We've never, in all our history, been in a place like this, and I think that it's the role of GJM, all journalists, to be even more vigilant at this time when the country is faced with sad, dire economic challenges. We raised this red flag that the direction in which the economy was going, we're going to crash. I talked personally about creative accounting. This finance minister was hiding huge liabilities and giving a rosy picture of the economy.
Former President Mahama insists one of the ways government can fix the current challenges facing the economy is to convene a national forum like he did as president to collate views from all stakeholders. And despite President Akufo-Addo saying government has handled negotiations with the IMF in a transparent manner, former President Mahama says the negotiation has been shrouded in secrecy.
We all need to come on board and see how we can salvage it. But the first step is the government should come clean and tell us what is the state of the economy. You must put everything on the table. And that's why I called for a national dialogue. I said, bring the best brains together. I've been president before. It served me well. I called Century Forum. It didn't reduce my stature as president. All participants came, except MPP. They boycotted that Century Forum. But it got us a very good homegrown document, which eventually is what we took to the IMF. So by the time we went knocking on the doors of the IMF, we had our program ready. These people have gone to the IMF, not ready, no program, nothing. It's only now they've been able to put some program together in a non-transparent way. I haven't seen what is even in the program. I thought that they will hold consultations with the media, everybody, so that we all know what austerity we're going to go through, what sacrifices are we going to make, you know.
You heard the former President Mahama. Now, President Akufo-Addo says he's determined to win the fight against illegal mining, despite the political cost associated with it. According to him, despite the criticism, the fight is yielding results. Speaking on Koforidua-based Republic Radio as part of his tour to the eastern region, the president promised significant change to the water bodies before he leaves office.
We have had to take some many measures. And we're continuing. Operation Halt has begun again. This last time, I think that the problem was that we disengaged too quickly. Okay. Once the first lot had gone through, and then the people. This year, we've decided for a whole year to maintain the Operation Halt, especially the fight on our river bodies, how to take out these machines, excavators, and find out of the system. Government is buying more speed patrol boats to patrol our river bodies, especially after. It's very important, say, at the central government level, we show determination. I'm not going to accept defeat in this area, and I'm determined, say, by the time I leave, a substantial change would have been made to our water bodies and to our environment and our landscape.
You heard the President Akufo-Addo. The National Democratic Congress says it has suspended elections in a number of its constituencies where executives were to be elected today. A statement signed by Deputy Director of Elections of the party, Daniel Amate-Mensah, said where there are issues with ballot papers, the elections will be suspended in its entirety. In the Central Region alone, as many as 20 out of the 23 constituencies there have had the elections put on hold. Joseph Akable joins me with a statement from the party. First, that from the national headquarters. What does it say, Akable?
So it indicates that the National Elections Committee of the National Democratic Congress wishes to inform the rank and file of the party across the nation that all is set for the party's constituency elections scheduled to take place this weekend. All constituency delegates are required to turn up at their various conference centers with their voter identification cards and NDC membership cards in order to vote. The National Elections Committee, under the guidance of FEC has decided to put elections in a few constituencies on hold due to disputes over delegates lists for those constituencies and or the exclusion from ballot papers of candidates who have been qualified through appeal process. And so it lists the constituencies in the eastern region. There are 12 of them. In the central region, we have Attoh. The statement that came from the national headquarters, it mentioned just 2, but Volta region 2, Western 2, Upper East 1, that is the Japa on hold, and the Greater Accra region 7 of them. And it explains that on hold means that the elections have been postponed entirely.
And then in the central region, where only 3 constituencies are voting today?
Yes, so that statement from the Central Regional Chairman, that is lawyer EKT Attoh, it says that the Central Regional Headquarters of the National Democratic Congress wishes to announce for the information of all constituency chairmen, executives, and the entire members of the National Democratic Congress in the Eastern Region that the constituency conference is scheduled for today, Saturday, 22nd October, are rescheduled for Sunday, 23rd of October, 2022, upon the advice from the Regional Elections Directorate. However, Upper Dintra East, Upper Dintra West, and Agona East are excluded. And so what it means is that there will be only elections today in 3 constituencies and the rest will take place tomorrow.
Akable with those details. Municipal Chief Executive for Wejagbawe in the Greater Accra region, Patrick Kumo, is pushing for the dredging of the Weja Dam to prevent future flooding of communities around it. Thousands were rendered homeless when flood waters took over many homes in Gas South and the Wejagbawe municipalities, killing one person. Speaking at the donation of the relief items by the Kasona Mercy Gambo Chibga Memorial Foundation, MCE Patrick Kumo said that the disaster should never happen.
I believe when the incident happened, we made it known that we are still seeking the support of other organizations. And I believe this very afternoon, Kasona Global Imaging Limited, which is an NGO, is coming to our aid through the help of the Member of Parliament. I believe they brought in bags of rice, oil, and then some sanitary pads. We believe that this will go a long way to assist the people that we've not already touched, which will also, in a way, sustain them in a bit. Looking at what happened to this municipality is something that has been an annual ritual, but then with what happened recently has opened the eyes of everybody, which government in no time will be coming to the aid of the people, i.e. Looking at the dam, which needs to be dredged, so that the silt that has engulfed the dam can be taken care of. Then in the future, we believe this occurrence will be a thing of the past.
The foundation donated 500 bags of rice, 600 pieces of cooking oil, and 360 pieces of sanitary pads. Founder of the foundation, Leonard Chibgo, said corporate bodies must rise to show their love to the communities they work in, especially during disasters.
When I read this tragic news on the internet, then I reached out to the Weja community here, and we would like to do something for the people who are now suffering from lost their home, their property, and probably don't know what they are going to do or how are they going to rebuild their home in the future. So I believe this is the time that we come in as corporate citizens of Ghana and start doing something that benefits the society as a whole.
And Opokuwari's super sub Anderson Manuel Kelvin once again exhibited a spectacular performance in rounds 4 and 5 of the National Science and Maths Quiz as he catapulted the Santasi boys to the semi-finals. 2021 finalists Ketasco stood toe-to-toe with the 2-time winners, but the contest took a dramatic turn when Owa's super sub correctly answered all the riddles in the final round. Anderson Manuel Kelvin put up a similar performance in the 1/8 contest against Anglo Secondary Senior High School and Sunyani SHS. The Aketechis are now saying they have found in Anderson Manuel Kelvin a Jimmy Newton. Jimmy Newton is a 2019 NSMQ contestant from Ogasco who always came on stage in the last 2 rounds. He helped the team win the trophy that year. Mark Solagbagba has more.
Super sub from Opokuwari School, Manuel Anderson, did the magic in round 4 and round 5.
A net charge of -2 coulomb exists on the interior surface of the shell and is also uniformly distributed. Anderson?
False.
You are right. And that's the end of the fourth round.
Your place amongst the great to uphold. Let's not let tragedy from Halloween. Architecture. So we have the super sub who did the magic. Manuel Anderson Calvin. Tell me, what's your secret? What's your secret? Tell me.
The God factor.
It is the God factor. How do you feel right now?
I feel excited.
Excited. What should we expect in the semi-final contest?
Let's be quiet for now. Let's head on to the semi-final.
Okay. Let me speak to some old students.
It's been amazing, you know. Keita gave us a very difficult match, but then at the end of the day, we came out successful. So we thank God.
What should we expect this year from you?
The best.
The 2022 National Science and Maths Quiz is produced by Primetime Limited and is sponsored by the Ghana Education Service in partnership with APSA Ghana and supported by Goyle, Prudential Life Insurance, Attoh Tigo. The broadcast of the National Science and Maths Quiz on Joy News is supported by Virtual InfoSec Africa, Virtual Security Africa, Vitamilk, Cowbell, Alumni by Enterprise Life, Fatex Toilet Roll, Ace Medical Insurance, Azar Group, Kings Group Limited, Family Health Medical School, DBS, ZNZ, the Basto School, Koba, and Lumitrust.
And that's how we wrap up the midday news. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. As we leave you with Hannah Dame with the wrap of the week.
Unhappy with the rising rate of inflation and depreciation of the cedi, members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association refused to open their shops for business.
Today, the dollar will go up. Tomorrow, it will just come down and it will go up twice, which is not good.
Some traders were, however, not in favor of the decision by their leaders.
There are so many ways of demonstration. It is not only shutting the stores is the only way.
The Deputy Trade Minister also believed the move by the traders was politically motivated.
There are other motives that we need not do.
Well, by the end of the week, the traders had opened their shops after an intervention by the President and the government chair.
You have to benchmark your prices with the flying dollar. Otherwise, you lose off your capital. And always revise your prices.
And indeed, the prices of goods and services shot up.
For us, we've increased.
The Ghana National Chamber of Pharmacy warned a shortage of medicines due to the current economic challenges.
They cannot afford the resultant high cost of medicine.
For former Gender Minister Nana Oyebampo, though, the president is unable to deal with the country's economic crisis. So she had this to say to the first gentleman.
He must tell us how he's going to solve this problem, or he should get off the seat, resign.
Government, meanwhile, says it remains confident that the cedi will regain some stability despite its continuous battering at the hands of the dollar. The week saw the termination of appointment of the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Opoku Amankwa. Stakeholders in the education sector were opposed to the move.
Contrary to that, the gentleman who was appointed yesterday is not a teacher. He is a banking officer.
And that's a wrap of the week with me, Hannah Odame.
What else can I say when every word has been spoken?
Joy 99.7 FM.
The World Cup season is here again. Are you ready to cheer the Black Stars to victory? Let's go to Qatar 2022 with Match Hospitality Ghana. Match Hospitality Ghana is the only company in Ghana with the exclusive right to sell FIFA Match Hospitality tickets. Qatar beye butu 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 butu. Guess what? For only $950 per match, you can follow your team and enjoy a social hospitality experience with an upmarket deli-style menu before and after the match. For enquiries, kindly call 055-155-1118 or 055-155-1119. Email us at matchesphospitality.com or visit www.matchhospitality.com for more details. Match ticket inclusive official hospitality packages are subject to availability. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Match Hospitality, Qatar, Rubiwa.
The Black Stars are on the back foot, but a large take tackle from K5 saves the day. He finds the flamboyant wonder kid Sonnet. Pegas wants it, but his fan favorite Sportage, who has smashed it home. And it's a cracking goal from Kia. They had to come to the party, and they did it in grand style, delivering 10 trips to the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Buy any Kia from Random Motors in September and October, and you could be on your way. Walk into any Random Motors showroom. For more information, call 0249 911 444. This promo is supported by Adidas, Coca-Cola, Qatar Airways, Caveman, and is being run on the NLA Caritas platform. Terms and conditions apply.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Hey, Charlie, this Qatar 2022 is bringing back some crazy memories, eh? Me, dear, the last tournament, I go bet my rent advance. First match, no. Hey. Fam, them take show me where I go stay plus my in-laws. Oh. But this year, against my chamber and hall, my Go TV showing all the 64 matches. Massa, made tremendous super pop. Massa, I said this time with dear. Go TV Super, Bema is 64 matches needing now. Get your Go Coder and 1 month plus subscription for only 89 CDs. Go TV. Love it.
J is the joy that I give you every day. Oh, it's for on. Cause every time I hear the joy in there. Why is for yeah. Cause every time I hear joy, I say every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off my radio. Every time I hear the joy, I don't want every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off. Every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off. Hello, this is Morris, and I say keep on listening to Joy 99.7 FM.
Joy 99.7 FM.
J is the joy that I give you every day. Oh, it's for on. Cause every time I hear the joy in there. Why is for yeah. Cause every time I hear joy, I say every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off my radio. Every time I hear the joy, I don't want every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off. Every time I hear the joy, I don't wanna turn off. Hello, this is Morris, and I say keep on listening to Joy 99.7 FM.
Thank you for staying with us here on Joy 99.7 FM. So last night on the Qatari Quest quiz, I promised you that I was going to bring you the second quarter final. We're running, just like the National Science and Maths quiz. Okay. Have you chanced on the 55-man preliminary squad that is expected to be pruned to 26? That revised number of 26 for the FIFA World Cup. So the journey has finally begun, just a few weeks away from starting the Mundial this year. What are the expectations, especially after these set of players have been named? My guest already seated here with me in the studio. But of course, Formula One is headed to the United States. What are the big talking points? We'll get to know right here. Of course, later on as well, we will bring you quarterfinal 2 of the Qatari Quest Quiz right here on the show. So it's very packed this afternoon, and I'm glad to be in your company. But you know you can see your football stars live at the 2022 FIFA World Cup in style, right? So Match Hospitality AG, the worldwide exclusive rights holder for the FIFA Hospitality Program in Ghana, for the sale of the 2022 FIFA World Cup Qatar official hospitality program, is making this possible. And you know what? Talk about the hospitality program. It's just super, man. And it's smooth. It's hassle-free as well. Very good networking. Good dining as well. And a wonderful experience watching the game from there. So for only $950 per person per match, you can follow your team and enjoy the social hospitality experience with upmarket deli-style menu and drinks before and after the game in style. So you know what to do, don't you? Just call 055-155-1118 and 055-155-1119. You can also email our inquiries, all of the inquiries, to sales@matchhospitality.com or visit www.matchhospitality.com for more details. Match ticket inclusive hospitality packages are subject to availability, and do remember the terms and conditions apply. So in a few moments, I'll be going through that list of players who have been invited. And then after that, we get into critical conversations. And of course, these are, bits of feedback as well that have been given to the head coach around, the format of the appointment. That's covering his work as head coach of the Black Stars. We're going to be going into all of that. We'll head out of here and go into Europe as well and get one of our contributors as well, so he also gives us his perspective to all of this and this discussion. Remember, it's 055-111-997 055-111-997 to be a part of this conversation via WhatsApp. It's very ready for all of your comments as we get towards building that final Black Stars team that we hope can do the magic in Qatar. So already seated here in the studio is Kwabena Poku. Kwabena Poku is in an F1 cap, and I can describe these as Infantipim colors very easily. They're also in the they're also in the semifinals, aren't they? Are you in the semifinals? You're in the semifinals as well. I can't hear you.
Oh yes, we are. They are Ginny Shekanin.
They are Ginny Shekanin. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. That's for later. But good to see you.
Good to see you, my brother. It's been a long time.
Yeah. It's been a while. Look, we're gearing up to the U.S. Open this weekend.
Yep.
What would you be looking out for this weekend?
Well, I'm looking out for that FIA ruling on the cost cap breach. As we call it, the F1 financial doping. So everybody's just eager to see what the FIA ruling is going to be. Also, the Constructors' Championship is still in the running, even though Max has won the Drivers' Championship, and congratulations to Max Verstappen and the Red Bull team for this year's winning. They won it in Japan, which was very solid on their behalf. But then again, the Constructors' Championship is still up and running, and should Red Bull win this American Grand Prix, they will take away that particular championship as well. And then also, people are also looking out for the updates Mercedes is bringing on, which will give some sort of idea of what they are also looking at in terms of 2023. And all. So it's a lot going on in America as we speak. Yeah.
I always like to talk about the track, the degree of difficulty, and what it's likely to do to the results as well.
Well, American track, the Austin track is one of the favorite tracks for most of the drivers. You can talk about Lewis, Max, Charles, Vettel, even Bottas and the likes. All of them. The American track is pretty much smooth, and it's not one of the most difficult tracks that you talk about when it comes to Formula One. So it's going to be an interesting race. I see tomorrow's race as being one of the most interesting races. People are thinking, is Max going to take his legs off the foot? Because of the gas, because he's already won the championship? Is he going to take it easy, or is he going to go all out? Is Lewis and the Red Bull team or the Mercedes team going to come and show off what they have for the America or the rest of the races left? You know, we have just about 4 races left: the Americas, the Brazil, Mexico, and then going to Abu Dhabi. And all of these are major races because every driver wants to win on those tracks. So it will be very interesting. I mean, the likes of Vettel, this is their last 4 races for him to retire from Formula One. So it's also going to be interesting what he's going to bring in from tomorrow going.
Now, once again, every day we're doing the predictions. We're asking the questions. Who makes it? Who makes it on number 1? Who makes it on number 2? Who makes it this time?
Okay, I mean, obviously Mercedes hasn't been up there this season, but then again, as they're saying, their new updates are supposed to be showing up from today when they go into qualifiers and coming into the race tomorrow. And as Nana is always saying, and as I will always say, Mercedes is going to be on the podium somewhere. But Red Bull is also going to give Ferrari is going to give Red Bull a run for the Constructors' Championship tomorrow, because they've been doing some good times for the free practice sessions and all that. So we're also looking out for Ferrari showing up tomorrow. If they don't take silly decisions after they've been doing all season, they should be up there tomorrow. But as usual, I'm expecting Max to perform tomorrow. I mean, he's been showing some interesting times during
this clearly has been his
It's
season.
been a season.
Yeah.
It's been a season. He's had they've had a very good running and all that. The only thing overshadowing them is they going overboard in terms of the cost capping last year and putting the championship last year is already in doubt. I mean, he did win last year. The controversies are there, and now the cost capping, people are watching. Okay, what is the FIA going to do? Are they going to deduct points from them to the extent that he will lose the championship? Or are the engineers going to take the penalty? Is it going to be a cost penalty? There's so many things happening, and everybody is just eager, waiting for how the governing body is going to rule on this one.
All right. So what's the plan for tomorrow?
Well, luckily for us in Accra, tomorrow's time is in the evening. I mean, in the US, it's going to be daytime, but here we're watching at 7 p.m. at the Labadi Beach Hotel. We're moving the viewing party to the poolside. So tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock is lights out. I mean, the poolside is obviously opening from the afternoon. As usual, Labadi is always giving us our discounts, our 20% discounts on drinks and food. And so the poolside will be open. Guests should come in from 5 going. And at 7 o'clock, lights out, sharp, and the American Grand Prix begins. And this is going down to the last race for the season. This year we are ending the season very early because of the World Cup. The last race is in Abu Dhabi. And they already have a deal with Qatar to end the season a day before the opening ceremony. So the day of the last race in Abu Dhabi, the next day, the World Cup begins in Qatar. So it's going to be an interesting 4-leg race left,
All right, so let's see how it goes. And lights out is going to be at 7 p.m. This is a proper lights out effect.
Proper lights out effect.
Governor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you very much.
catch you tomorrow at the poolside at Labadi Beach Hotel.
Thank
And for now, if you're not a Verstappen fan, just take it easy. Just
come and enjoy the race.
Yeah, let the rest of the season just flow away. And then we can start talking about 2023. Thank you so much, Kwabena. Thank you so much. Still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. It's good to have you on board. It's definitely good to have you on board as we look forward to what will be a 55-man squad that is expected to be, outdoored by, Coach Attoh. And then the pruning will begin. Of course, earlier we saw one that had been put up by Uruguay, our group opponents, with whom we have a lot of unsettled business. Here with me in studio for the conversation, the major conversation this afternoon is former spokesperson of the Ghana Football Association, a seasoned journalist with exploits from here in Ghana, and with our partners, the BBC, where he's won massive recognition for his work as a journalist as well. Most of you are able to throw back immediately to that award-winning documentary on the Manchester United scouting scam. Of course, he works as a member of the Confederation of African Football's Media Committee, and has been very key in the execution of major events, including the Africa Cup of Nations, the Africa Cup of Nations draw, and of course, the flagship CAF African Footballer of the Year Awards. Ibrahim Sani Dara is my guest this afternoon here on the Joy Sports Link. He's accompanied the Black Stars to the World Cup, and he knows what happens around these times when everybody is asking questions, is coaching, is having the tactical conversation, and wants what they prescribe as the ultimate look Black Stars. What are your thoughts this afternoon? Share them with us as we get into this conversation over the next hour. My name is Nathaniel Attoh. It's great to have you here. And thank you for joining us. Sani, I've been waiting for you for a while, eh?
Yes, that. Thank you for having me this afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners. It doesn't stop. The travel doesn't stop. So we kept on, working. This week I'm back in town and I'll be here for a while.
Okay.
So it's important that I make myself available.
Yeah. How's the family doing, though?
All good.
Haji Munaya and the kids and everybody?
All good.
Anyway, the rest of it, as I always say, behind and after, when the microphones are off. Oh, yeah, but I remember your wedding. It was nice, years ago. Charlie, many years ago.
Ages ago.
My producer was probably in primary school by then, maybe.
For sure. And we'll realize how old
so
we
that
are.
looks I'm spotting some grace already, Sonny.
It's gone. Completely gone.
Look, let's begin with this one. After the that feeler or that alert that Attoh was going to drop a list of 55 players, an initial list of 55 players, we saw what Uruguay had put up already.
Yes.
And now a few questions, a few interesting twists to the story, because we saw Joe Attoh, the legendary Joe Attoh, he had a conversation with Fifi Banson on GH1, and he spoke about how he doesn't agree with the kind of agreement or arrangement that the FA has with Attoh. And the question we're asking ourselves is, we're supposed to have moved on from here. The FA has agreed with Attoh, and his work at his club doesn't affect the Black Stars in any way, at least for the period of the World Cup, doesn't it?
Yes, I respectfully also disagree with Joe Attoh. In fact, when I heard that thought, I asked, did he just pop out of Jupiter, pop out from Jupiter or Mars? Where was he when our situation was quite precarious and we needed some stability and all? Where was he when, out of nothing, when people expected that Ghana would not qualify to the World Cup, Attoh managed with, I would say, an also-ran squad to be able to defeat Nigeria, to be able to qualify. And then subsequently, to inject more players into the team, to bring more competition to the team. And after that, we actually handed Attoh a contract until after the World Cup. So you can't say in many respects that we have a part-time coach or a part-time arrangement. He has a contract that runs until the end of the World Cup. So for me, I was surprised that it would come from Joe Attoh, who's a former player who should know that these arrangements had already been done. If these arrangements had already been done, I think now our focus should mainly be on the fact that we are heading towards the World Cup, and we should just focus on the World Cup. I see this thing just as a sideshow, and Attoh should not be dissuaded at all by some of these talks. At this moment, we should be focusing on our squad, how we will prepare well. But if we start going back to these issues of part-time and all, just remember when we finished the African Cup of Nations, everybody was downcast. What's the future of Ghana football? will we ever rise to the top of African football again? And then, bam, came Attoh, re-energized the team, gave them the belief and confidence that we'll be able to do it. Even with a squad you won't call world beaters, we managed to defeat Nigeria. And at this very last moment, we've just 29 days to go to the World Cup for this issue to come up. I would say that it's a sideshow that should not disturb the technical team at all. They should be focused on the task ahead. And we know what got us here. We know the fact that the squad that we had previously was, to be honest, not good enough. But now we can believe again. We can start to believe again by the fact that the squad has been injected with a lot of talented players, a lot of world beaters who did not have the chance previously, a lot of players who were dithering about whether they should commit to the Black Stars or not, who have now all committed and have made the Black Stars now a team to beat. Maybe some of the people would come from the perspective that when we played against Brazil in the first half, it was not a blistering performance, so we are not good enough. I'll disagree with that point of view. And I'll tend to agree with the approach of Attoh. World football has changed completely. And I agree with the point that sometimes you should trick your opponents a bit. And as part of it, I would agree with the thought that we should not unfurl our full squad to anybody until the World Cup, when we are able to pull surprises. I say this thing just for one thing. If it is that we want to please our fans want to know what the squad would look like and the rest, the fans must also understand that the World Cup is the big deal. Through these friendly matches, you can see some of your errors or players that will fit in certain positions or not. But also, you must go into the tournament with some element of surprise. If you don't, and let's say you start playing maybe with your first full team in your friendly matches, already you've given maybe 80% of your strategy away to your opponents. And I say this as a result of the fact that, look, these days, people are going to the nitty-gritties, the tiniest details before they play matches. We have 3 video analysts. Portugal has 20.
2-0.
2-0. Which means that all the players you have, they are monitoring each and every player's every movement. Everything, every trick in the book. And this is common in world football.
Portugal has 20 video analysts.
Video analysts. Those that went to the under-20 World Cup that was played in Turkey.
Very well.
Got a taste of what the Portuguese under-20 team is like. They have a lot of backroom staff who work on teams.
And Sonny, it reminds me of 2014. You know, I was in the mixed zone with Jan Pofankra after the Ghana-Germany game.
Yes.
And I made a comment about the German team and the vastness of the backroom staff.
Yes.
You know, they normally like to wear all black apparels,
Yes.
you know, just like the head coach likes to do, you know. And they just kept coming out of the room. I was like, what are you talking about?
Where are they coming from?
Yeah.
You know, if you do this in Ghana, people perhaps murder you. They'll say, what are all these people doing?
Especially at this time when we have a very big crunch as well, economically.
Yes.
It becomes
it will become a massive topic. But this is what world football is today. World football is expensive. People spend a lot of time on the tiniest elements that would make you better than your opponents. Previously, Ghana didn't understand this. You didn't understand, or we didn't understand why, for instance, if you play a home match and you are going away, you need to get a chartered flight. Now, this is what the Moroccans and the Tunisians will do. And they will beat you 1-0. Then you'll be lamenting, oh, referee, now we are I'm a Jew. It's not stealing. It's the tiny bits. Free kicks. Getting to know the players. getting to know their, their movements, how they move, what is their strong points, what is their weak points, all of those things. And these players will get, are known in the football world to have a certain pattern. And all of these things are available. If you go to Instat, Y Scout, and the rest, they can take NAT. Today, you have been given 2 video analysts to look at you, how you head the ball, how you move, how you trap the ball with your left and right leg, where your movements are. So when, let's say, Cristiano Ronaldo is playing against somebody like Baba Rahman in that position, he's told that maybe he has some weakness on his right leg. So when you get the ball, push the ball to his right leg. So when you start by playing all your first teamers, or the look of your first team, you start playing them. What you give your opponents is you arm them with the opportunity to look at you, strip your game down. These days, lots of things. Computer has changed everything. Softwares have changed everything. AI has changed everything. They are able to tell your goalkeeper their movements, everything. So you give them the opportunity to look at you head to toe.
Sonny, all of this then points to the fact that we need to give Attoh Addo some more credit for the strategy he employed when Ghana was about to play Nigeria. All those delays and, taking his time thoroughly before letting out which also became a subject for trolling on social media.
Absolutely. It's a pity that it's not everything that you can say in public.
Sure.
It's a pity. But if you look at the thoroughness with which Attoh Addo works, you'd get to understand. I was at the game against Brazil. I was livid that by halftime we're down by 3-0. But by halftime, after halftime, you could see a semblance of what our first team would look like. And a lot of people had expected that second half team should have been played against the Nicaragua team. But the fact is that once you give that away, you give too much away to your opponents. So you look at it from where Attoh picked the team. Nigeria had more established players, bigger names than us, but the strategy Attoh adapted worked perfectly for us, and we qualified for the World Cup. So we should give more credit and have the hope that the people we have, the sort of people we have as our coaches. Look, there's Attoh Addo, there's Chris Hughton, there's
Masoud
Didi Dramani and George Boate. These are people who've seen it all at the highest level. You don't expect them to go into the World Cup and do a part-time job going into the World Cup. I'm confident that they will do a perfect job to ensure that we have a fighting chance against all of our group opponents. I'm tempted to agree with Attoh Addo that apart from Portugal, we have a good chance against South Korea and Uruguay. Look, I'm even too optimistic to the point that I can say, as a matter of conviction, that if Portugal doesn't even take care, we can surprise them. If Portugal doesn't take care, we'll surprise. I say that with a certainty that when we went into when we made our previous World Cup appearances, 2006, 2010 to 2014, you could realize that there were certain positions that, we ourselves know that we were in doubt. But today, my only fear is our goalkeeping department. Despite all the goalkeepers we have. My only
you
fear.
Still don't have enough confidence in Watlacott. You don't have enough confidence in Ofori.
I think if we had a goalkeeper I have good confidence in them, but I think if we had a goalkeeper with a bigger profile in a bigger league, or a goalkeeper in the
Richard
status
Kingston was not in a bigger league
yes,
before we
but
went
his
to the World
status
Cup.
was big. The fact that he was bought into the English Premier League tells you something. And when we went to the World Cup, he proved his gravitas by his performances. If we have a goalkeeper in that, in that caliber or of that caliber, we could have bragged that we have a good chance of making it again to the qualifying to the quarterfinals and even beyond. I say this for a reason, because now in our first World Cup, some of our wing backs were not that top notch. Let's be truthful. Adokwe Papo and the rest. We know that these were players that did their best, but at that time they were not world beaters. But today, if you look at the Black Star squad, you take apart from the goalkeepers, in every position, we have world beaters, players who can stand their own against any opponent in the world. And that headache for me is good. Why is it good? It is a headache for the coaches, so they can choose the best players for us from the number 2, number 3, 4, and 5. They'll have headaches all over in choosing the 26 players they will take to the World Cup.
Sonny, when we're having these kinds of conversations, I always like to take myself out of the journalism space and play with our friends who by now are having a drink or two at a hangout somewhere and are discussing these things with the fans' level of fanaticism and passion.
Yes.
Where the result against Brazil is a big deal for them. They don't want to see anything beyond Brazil taking their foot off the pedal in the second half. They don't want to see anything, beyond the fact that like this goalkeeping subject, for instance.
Yes.
So, look, Portugal, at least in the last 5-6 years, have won a major trophy. They still can bite, and so we do not have a chance. There are people who walk the streets and say these things. There are people who say these things in their offices.
I'll plead with them. I'll plead with them that they should have some confidence and belief in the team, that the team is not that stupid to push the wrong buttons. I believe that they know what they are about. These are coaches that have seen it all. Our coach Attoh won't be part of the Dortmund team if he's not top-notch. He will not be part of the Dortmund team if he's not responsible for the grooming of players and preparation of players like Haaland to be able to reach the top of world football. And the names are there, many names. He's directly responsible for their successes. So we won't expect that, they should have the confidence that when they are restraining themselves from bringing the entire team out, it is for a good reason. The reason that if you put everything out there for people to see everything, sometimes it works against you. It is for that reason that I say that if you bring your starting 11, you have given Portugal the easy job. The easy job to know that maybe our starting goalkeeper is Richard Ofori. Number 2 is whoever, whether Tariq Lamptey or whoever it is. 3 is Baba Rahman or whoever it is. Our centre backs are whether Daniel Amate, Jiku or Salisu. Whoever it is. You've given them the easy reason to start nitpicking, to start analyzing you, so that by the time you get into the match, you have no surprise element. But if we give them the opportunity to work the way they want, and they work perfectly to the level we want, at least we start the first 45 minutes against them with the headache, knowing that they don't know what we are about, what surprise we are able to pull, what surprises our players are able to pull. That is why in the past, when we announce our squads, the fact that I've been working with CAF has given me some knowledge. The rule says that immediately you arrive at the stadium, you present your starting list. Now, do you know what the teams do? Because I go to the dressing rooms and go for those starting lists from the general coordinator of the match. Immediately the teams, and you are supposed to share also the opposing team's starting lists to the two teams.
Very well.
Immediately they take those starting lists, they zoom straight to their dressing rooms and pull together Instat or White Scout videos of the players that have been mentioned as starting players, and they start doing the analysis. Even at that point, they can change their formations. So with this background information, I won't be so stupid to say that I would maybe name my starting lineup 6 hours before the match. You've killed yourself. When you name your starting lineup 6 hours before the match, do you know what the video analyst can do with it? So these are some of the things that, the public must understand. That beyond what you see on the pitch, there are a lot of things that go behind the scenes. So they should be patient. They should back the team. They should support the team. Of course, when we see that things are obviously and glaringly wrong, we should be able to voice them out. But when we see that, there are things that we don't understand and you are given, some basic information, please appreciate it and have the confidence in the team that they are doing the right thing.
If you just joined us, we're here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM with a live stream on YouTube, and we're having this conversation with Ibrahim Sani Dara, who's a member of the CAF Media Committee, a seasoned and accomplished journalist, and also former communications director of the Ghana Football Association. We're looking ahead to Qatar. Remember, the clock is ticking, and with the indication that there will be a 55-man initial squad or preliminary squad to be named by head coach Attoh, there are many conversations that are flying around, and we're trying to wrap our heads around it and bring you some of the big details from moments within the Black Stars camp, especially from the mouths and from the minds of the people who've been there and have seen it all. Sonny, yesterday we saw a name fly around, especially after we got the indication that this list was coming. Jeffrey Schlupp, and he's someone who has performed over the past season. Has been consistently performing. He's been in good form, yet has not been invited as we would expect, as a regular fan would expect by the Black Stars coach. Tell me about the management of the egos and the expectations of these players, especially after that big number will be pruned off 55 to get 26.
I've spoken with a few players who were on the periphery of the squad, and I like the approach of the coach. Why? Because I know for a matter of fact that a lot of the players who were on the periphery of the squad would receive a call from the coach who would say that, when he mentions the squad maybe for a friendly game, you are not in the team, but he will call you and say that, yes, you are not in this team, but you are in my plans. So keep on working hard. Keep on working hard. It tells you that, there's a coach who's monitoring, the group of players within the periphery of the squad. Now, managing their egos is another thing. Jeffrey Schlupp, for instance, first of all, he was not born in this country. His parents are Ghanaian. He was born in Germany, and would expect some level of, one, maybe respect, two, also to say that he has some positions he prefers to play. So when you call him and he doesn't play in that position, he has an issue.
Okay.
So what do you do as a coach or as a technical team or a management team? You manage his expectations. You let him know that, yes, we understand that maybe, yes, you play in this position at the English Premier League, or maybe this is your favorite position, but maybe we have too many riches in that area. And or maybe it is my decision as the coach that, there are some players who are perhaps, my favorites for that position. Maybe you can also play there. The same sacrifices you make for your club, your clubs abroad, you should be able to make those same sacrifices for your club, for your country. If you want to play for the Black Stars, don't expect that, the same position that you play, maybe even if you play for Manchester City or whichever team it is you play for. If you come to the Black Stars and we say that maybe in that position, maybe in the pecking order, somebody's ahead of you, or the coach thinks that somebody's ahead of you, you should be able to adapt. The same way you adapt. For instance, Jeffrey Schlupp, he started off as a striker or a forward. But his club at Leicester City sometimes use him at the left back position. So if he comes to Ghana and the coaches decide that they want to use him at the position, he might say that, this is my favorite position. And this is what I understand is his reasons for pulling out in some of the previous call-ups he's had. In truth, he's been called several times. He's turned down those calls because of some of these reasons. So it is important that when players have these, problems, there's a way you manage them. And as a coach, if you engage them and you speak with them that, look, I believe that this is the right thing for me to do, they would understand it and appreciate it, because it's the same approach that, coaches with their foreign clubs do with them. So if we do this with him, I think that he'll be perfectly fine. And I've seen that in the recent past, George Boateng has visited him. He engaged him with Jordan Ayew. And I'm tempted to believe if he's in the squad, then it's the reason why George Boateng visited him.
So I'm also looking at the disappointments, the big disappointments where players, will be told that, look, I'm sorry, you cannot be part of the moving train to, Qatar. In the past, we've had some very difficult situations. I remember on one of the editions of the Joy Sports World Cup Tales on our channels, I spoke to Dr. Yain Fojo, who's the first psychologist to work with the team. He's originally a psychiatrist. And he was telling me about the 2006 story where you had to separate a Bafo Jan from an Asamoah Jan. I mean, it was a tough thing to do.
It is tough to tell players that they've been dropped from tournaments. It is always tough for any coach. Sometimes the players read all sorts of meanings into it. But if the players know that this coach is honest, he is fair, and he calls you, well, you'll be disappointed, but you accept it. We've had instances where players, are dropped and they burst out in anger and say all sorts of things. Thankfully, this time, it's easier. Because by the time the full squad is named, the players will be with their clubs in Europe. This time, they only have 1 week to come to camp. And you will name the squad even before they come to camp. So you won't have that headache. So that headache will be only on the phone, where you communicate with the player that, unfortunately, you've not been able to make it to the squad. Keep on working hard. Maybe in 2 years' time, in a few years' time, you have your opportunity. There are two things. One, the way the coaches communicate to the players, the way the players take it. Some players would use it as, the stepping stone to success. Others would just be dejected and might even, fade off completely because of that. It depends on the mentality of these players. And that's why the role of a psychologist is important in this space, where a player is told that you won't make it as part of the team, but look, continue to work hard, there's more life. Look, let this thing spur you on to success, to more success in the future. Others fade off. I remember during one of our African Cup of Nations tournaments, a player like Rashid Sumaila was dropped. And he was asked whether he would go home or he would stay with the squad. He said, I won't go home. I will stay with the squad. It was before the 2015 African Cup of Nations. And he woke up the following morning. He trained even more than the players that were selected.
Wow.
It was under Avram Grant.
I see.
Then we went to the tournament and a player got injured. I think it was even a midfielder or a striker.
Okay.
Somebody like that. Avram Grant's first choice was bring me that player who was dropped and said he wants to be with the team because he had seen commitment. That was how Rashid Sumaila was called in to come in as a replacement. So for a lot of people, they have different ways. We are humans. We have all got different ways we react to things. But when we have these examples of people who have gone through the mill, they've gone through disappointments, and these disappointments turn out to be a blessing in a way. I think that we should we should learn it in a way. You would find a lot of stories, when some people are dropped, some might say, oh, Mikrano, my masikentino, yamfame, and those things. So would you say if Dede Ayew is selected, Dede Ayew Masikenti, he was selected? No, it doesn't work that way.
But Sonny, that's also something that has been, it's been there. Has become part of our football folklore. Every time when we're having conversations about preparing teams for tournament, it comes up. And it comes up not only at the senior level, but all the other age-specific tournaments and all.
Well, I can't answer for all of... In truth, I can't answer for all of those instances. But for the Black Stars, I'm yet to see a player who's able to come. People will always latch on tittle-tattle. But when you ask the person, tell me where it is, you won't find it. But the truth is that we hear it consistently. We hear it. There might be some truth to it, which I have not seen. But at the Black Stars level, I've seen, players who have come out there, worked really hard, and deserved their place in the team. For instance, like an example I stated to you about Rashid Sumaila. You'd say, oh, there were then many, many, many players out there who maybe you'd say were better than him. But because of that character he showed to Avram Grant brought him back when there was an injury. So these are some of the lessons we should take from it. And I believe that now Ghanaians have seen that, the true semblance of people who deserve to be in the team are in the team. When you say, who are our top performers, Thomas Partey, Andre Ayew, Mohamed Kudus, Chiré, Jiku, all of them are playing regularly. And those that are coming into the team, Salis, Salisu, and all of those players, we all know, Inaki Williams. These are players who deserve to be in the team. Would you tell me that a player like Tariq Lamptey doesn't deserve a place in the team? I would say he deserves a place in the team because we see him perform. And the players that a lot of people have mentioned on social media or wherever it is have had the chance to show to the coaches what they can do.
Sonny, I also want us to get into the social aspect of this conversation about the World Cup and our participation. After all is said and done, and after all these hurdles are crossed, then would get to attending the tournament. The team would get into its final phase of preparation, the last game, trial game to be played, and then they am playing into Abu Dhabi for this tournament. Then the question about pushing them and urging them from the stands. In the last week, you've heard all the conversations about the economy here in Ghana.
Yes.
And how the dollar is moving at rocket speed.
I think I would have a solution. As somebody who worked in the Forex Bureau industry since I was 13, 4-1 in Presec, I would have a suggestion to the leaders of this country on how we'll solve the dollar problem. Maybe after we finish this program. But carry on with the dollar economy and the rest.
Very well. So, fans, I get phone calls every day.
Yes.
People want to be in Qatar.
Yes.
But if this situation prevents the mass numbers from being there, it also, cuts down on the numbers that we're going to see, the numbers of, Ghana flags that we're going to see in the stands. And that could also affect the psyche of the team.
I think that there are things that we must consider. The country is really hard. Even whilst I was, global, I got the feeling of how Ghanaians feel. We've got a lot of people behind us, people who look up to us in many spheres of life. And what I've realized over the past few days is that people you'd normally not expect to call you to say, I need help, the number has risen. And since I've been in town, I'm bang in the middle of Nima. The quest for help has maybe quadrupled.
Very well.
economy is truly hard. Truly, truly hard. But there are things that will also help us to soothe our pain a bit. And you realize that football would be one of those.
Definitely. Definitely.
And if it is possible that in all these difficulties, we are able to, support a few supporters to go out there to support the team, it will help us. Because, as they say, the fan is the 12th person. It is indeed true that the fan is a 12th person. And research in football has shown why teams like Liverpool rarely lose at home. Why? Because of the intimidating crowd at Anfield. It is the same in many instances and many stadiums. I have been...
The reason the national team adopted Kumasi by default as a home ground.
Exactly. So we must put in all measures in ensuring that the Black Stars do not feel like orphans going into the tournament. We should not go into matches where our opponents will by far outnumber us.
I remember very well Ghana, Germany. I mean, Ghana, Australia, for instance, in Rustenburg was pretty okay. I mean, we had quite a number of fans, added to the home fans in South Africa.
Yes.
But then you compare it to the Ghana Germany game in Fortaleza, and it was so contrasting. I mean, I remember very well whenever a German player is mentioned, the whole stadium goes shaking.
Exactly.
And then our players. I mean, so I think that it was only Dede Ayew, Kevin Prince Boateng, and Michael Essien who did not play the game.
Yes.
But anytime the camera was focused on him, he got a very big
roar.
Yeah.
Yes. It's because there are tickets. The tickets are distributed amongst the fans, the two teams playing, and then there are tickets. The vast majority or the vast amount of the tickets goes to neutrals. A lot of the neutrals, these countries that are able to afford, the supporters from these countries that are able to afford, eat into these neutrals too as well. And then most of these supporters are die-hard football fans who watch, all the top leagues in the world. So even if they are neutrals, they look at the top stars and they support the top stars. So that is why, in these difficult moments, you find people who would say, the government should not help any funds to go to the World Cup. I hold a contrary opinion.
And the problem now is that it's been embedded in the white paper of the Jamaica Commission.
Yes.
So if we want to send funds, we need to go through a process at the Supreme Court.
Yes, I think that there's another way. The other way is through the power of the government. The ministry can also call on corporate organizations
exactly
to support the mission. So we can send some funds there. So the Black Stars don't feel like orphans when they are at the tournament. At least they know that when they get in there in the stands, there are people who are singing and cheering for them. And sometimes it will surprise you to know the stadium will be full of Europeans, but the Ghanaians will be maybe 200. But the noise they will be making is more than the entire 60,000 people in the stadium. This is what we want to see, to at least intimidate our opponents a bit.
A bit, yeah. And as we wrap up this conversation, Sadi, I want to throw back to, you remember Dr. Rafiu Ladipo?
Yes.
Who used to be the president. He was the president general of
the
Nigerian supporters Club.
Yes.
And he said, he admitted to me once, he said, look, anytime they heard Ghana, Osei, that chant,
yes,
it just shook them to the
you
bone.
Singing, they will be saying it's a miracle. That's their song. Then
all we are saying, we want more goals.
But when we say Osei, they are intimidated completely. And Qatar, not only have been, in and out of the country maybe 9 times within the past 3 years. And I can say it's a very, very expensive country. It's very, very expensive. Food, hotels, whatever, transportation, everything is expensive. But it is important that the ministry, government understand that this is a moment where we are not only going to play football, but it's a big PR opportunity for our country. There was this, call for people to come to Ghana to celebrate the Christmas, the year after the return, and the rest. This will offer us a bigger platform for a bigger year
beyond the return,
than anything else, because billions of people will be watching on television, and this thing is priceless. And you being on television is for free. You won't spend anything. So let's use the opportunity. Let's support the Black Stars. Let's give them everything. Let's not leave anything to chance. Any stone that must be turned to ensure that we are successful. Be it, the players, be it the technical team, be it the fans, and whichever arm that ensures the success of the team, we must ensure that we do it. And the trickle-down effect is big. One, our country will be in the minds of people. The number of investors, visitors, and investment via tourism is also another area. The trickle-down effect on players, on even the media. I'm aware more than 30, 40 Ghanaian journalists have had contracts with foreign media organizations because Ghana has qualified to the World Cup. It is the same for the players. Just look at the value of our players we have now. Measure their values after the World Cup. Look at the players we have now. Measure after the World Cup which teams they will be playing for. The next summer transfer will be exciting for many Ghanaian players. In January it will happen, but in the summer it will be more. Perhaps a player like Mohamed Kudus, who now a lot of people in Holland believe is worth 70 million euros, could go up to 100,000 euros, 100 million euros. The same applies to all the other young players, Salehs, whichever it is, whoever it is. Just look at the players. Look at their values after the World Cup, and look at the teams they will play for after the World Cups. And now think about what they will do for their families. The people they will be feeding back home, the businesses they will be setting up here, the properties they will be acquiring, the people they will be employing. Let's think about all of these things. So it is important that we don't only look at football as a plaything where 11 people just run around and look after a ball or try to chase.
But a whole value chain.
It's a whole value chain that will, perhaps transform certain areas of our economy. I walk around Nima and I see too many people wearing Kudus jersey from Ajax. Imagine if Kudus returns and sets up businesses all over Nima. Imagine the number of people who would be employed. The other time I was holding a conversation with Sami Kufo, and I asked him, Sami, so how many people do you employ? He says, there are more than 400 people on my payroll. So if you have Sami Kufo, who played at the highest level, and is still employing more than 400 people, imagine if we have players of the stature of Sami Kufo all over the place. Won't it solve our unemployment problem in the country? I think it's worth it. Let's do it. Let's not look at football as only a plaything or as entertainment. Let's take a serious look at it, its effect on national unity, its effect. Look, government is struggling. If I was President Akufo-Addo, I would say, let me use this World Cup to quell the anger and the frustration about our current state. When football is played, when we say Ghana is starting its first World Cup match, I swear everybody will forget about hunger and starvation.
That is very true. Sunny, hey, it's always wonderful having you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The only thing is that you have to wait in Ghana a bit before you go. We need to have these conversations.
We'll have these conversations. We'll have these conversations.
And let's from a Ghanaian perspective, let's just pray that it goes well, because it has to go well.
It has to go well. Let's pray for the team. By all means, if there's something that is wrong with the team, please criticize. But don't criticize the team to destroy it. There are too many important things that will happen to us. this week I was fortunate to be invited by Michael Otieje during media conference.
The reporters,
yes,
the World Cup reporters conference, yeah.
And I had to remind my colleagues in the media the importance of why you should not destroy your game in your country. The thing directly feeds you. Why would you? Everywhere in the world, there are negatives in football.
Yet they have unwritten rules about.
Exactly. Exactly. People have. Look, Michael Otieje reminded me at the 2010 World Cup, we knew that Sule Muntari was about to be kicked out of the team. Between Michael and I, we could have made big names at the BBC if we decided that we should blow up the story. But we decided to keep it low. We saved our country from
international ridicule.
You know, so sometimes let's think. It's not everything that, you know, you want to make a big name out of it and all. And there are even people who go out of the way to lie about the team completely. There are journalists like that. Please,
so they could get hits on their
yes,
blogs
they could
and all.
get hits and whatever on their blogs. Let's exercise some restraint. A lot of people, even when you are with the team, you're a journalist, there are written rules. You have an opportunity to be on the Black Stars team bus, and players are saying something that is not meant for the public, and you have the opportunity and you go out and you say it in public. Do you think the federation that gave you the opportunity or the players that gave you the trust to be on their bus then, in their private moments, they will trust you again in future?
It will never happen.
Exactly.
Sonny, thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you here, and the tips on the forex issues. We'll talk about that one.
We'll talk about that one later.
Over what, the Salah beef or which one?
Yeah, the Salah beef and Tuozafi special.
Thank you. Ibrahim Sani Dara has been my guest here for the major conversation on the Joy Sports Link. The show continues, and of course, we're bringing you a quarterfinal 2 of the Qatari Quest Quiz right here on the show. I introduce to you our guests or our contestants in a few moments. Your messages are also welcome. We're going to be sharing them once we're done with the quiz element of the show today. Remember, today it's very, very packed, so we're going into the second phase of the show. This is the Joy Sports Link here on Joy 99.7 FM.